Hello, recapers! Today's movie starts with a woman who is nursing and taking care of her husband. She has to stay at home all the time because of his physical condition. Every day, she prays for him to get better and asks God for a miracle. Her husband is not paralyzed or suffering from any specific diagnosis. He is simply motionless and unable to speak. The village doctor told her that her husband should have recovered 12 to 13 days after the accident, but it has now been 16 days with no improvement. The couple has two little daughters, aged 3 and 5, who are too young to help their mother. One night, the girls tell their mother that they're hungry. But when she finds nothing in the house to feed them, she puts them to sleep. The next day, she goes to the pharmacy to get serum for her husband, but the shopkeeper refuses to give her any more medicine until they pay their overdue bill. She returns home in despair, and upon realizing they have no more serum left, she mixes sugar and water to give to her husband as a substitute. With no money left, she decides to visit her aunt for help. However, when she arrives, she learns that her aunt has been gone for some time and no one knows her whereabouts. Disheartened, she returns home and tells her husband everything. She blames his brother and mother for abandoning them and says that none of this would have happened if they had stayed. That's when we learn her husband was shot after getting into a fight when someone insulted his mother. The rumor that he had fought in the war against the Taliban is not true. He was falsely accused, and because of that, he is now stuck in this situation with no way out. The next day, the woman is out when the children go into their father's room and start removing the serum from his body. Luckily, the mother returns just in time to stop them. Shortly after, a woman named Mala comes to their house to perform a prayer, but the woman tells her she cannot participate because she is on her period, as the religious tradition does not permit women in menstruation to take part. Sometime later, an air raid begins. All the neighbors, along with the woman and her children, run to an underground shelter. They stay there for a few hours. When it's safe, the woman returns home and is relieved to find her husband unharmed. But just as she starts to feel a sense of normalcy, the sound of gunfire fills the air again. She returns to the shelter. Meanwhile, soldiers enter their home. They check on her husband but spare him when they learn he is Muslim. Instead, they take his ring and watch. Later, when the woman returns, she finds the house looted and her husband's ring and watch stolen. But the worst is yet to come. In the yard, she discovers that 2 men and a young girl, neighbors, have been brutally killed. The girl's mother has lost her mind from the trauma. Realizing she cannot live like this anymore, the woman takes her daughters and heads to her aunt's old home again. A stranger there tells her she doesn't know the aunt's whereabouts and refuses to let them stay. The woman, with nowhere else to go, sits on the stairs and refuses to leave, until finally the old woman relents and gives her the address where her aunt is now staying. She finds her aunt and tells her everything. Her aunt reveals that she has also suffered greatly, so much so that the woman can't even imagine. Her aunt had to kill her abusive stepfather to protect her mother and sisters. Now, she lives in a hotel, far from the eyes of judgmental people. Still troubled by guilt, the woman returns home, unable to abandon her husband. She talks to him openly, almost as if confessing everything to lighten her soul. She tells him that they've been married for 10 years, yet she's never had a single happy day, not even on their wedding day. On that day, he was at war, and she had to sit next to his photo during the ceremony. She continues, explaining how he was gone for the first 3 years of their marriage, and she suffered under the cruelty of his family. Even using the bathroom was a nightmare due to her brothers-in-law. She admits she doesn't even know why she's telling him all of this. Then, she begins to reveal her own childhood trauma. Her father loved his quails more than he loved his children. He even bet on quail fights, and one day he bet on his eldest daughter. After losing the bet, he forced her 12-year-old sister to marry a 40-year-old man. Afraid of being the next victim, she released all the quails from their cage, and a cat killed them. As she shares these painful memories with her husband, she realizes that this man never truly felt like a husband to her. In a moment of resignation, she removes the serum from his mouth and leaves the house. Later, she tells her aunt everything. Her aunt tells her, "He is your patient stone. That's why you feel like you can pour all your pain and suffering into him." Realizing that she finds comfort in speaking to her husband, she returns home, washes him for the first time in 10 years, and kisses him. As time passes, she continues to talk to him, this time not out of anger or despair, but as a form of healing. But around the same time, Ma returns to their house again to perform a prayer ceremony. The woman, still unprepared, tells him once more that she is on her period and cannot participate. As the war intensifies, the woman realizes that the city is full of soldiers. Fearing for her husband's safety, she hides him in a secret place within the house. But soon after, a group of soldiers comes to the house and begins interrogating her, asking if she has a husband, what she does, and who she lives with. Wanting only for them to leave, the woman lies and says she is a widow and that the house is her workplace, implying she is a sex worker. The soldiers do not harm her, but one of them spits in her face before leaving. That night she goes to her husband again and shares more of her memories. The next morning she hears a noise and, afraid it's the soldiers returning, quickly hides her husband. It turns out to be one of the young soldiers who had been at the house the previous day with his commander. He returns alone, gives her money, and forces himself on her. Powerless, the woman submits. Afterward, he leaves quickly. Shaken, she goes to the bathroom to wash herself. Then, she picks up the money the soldier left behind and uses it to buy serum and food for her family. The next day, the young soldier comes again. He gives her more money and again takes advantage of her. Afterward, believing her husband is completely unresponsive and unaware, the woman talks to him about the soldier, saying everything, even telling him that the young man performs better than he ever did. But then, she suddenly realizes what she is saying and is overcome with shame. She quickly stands up, opens the Quran, and begins reading, begging God for forgiveness. The next day, when she steps outside, she sees that their broken door has been repaired. She realizes it was the young soldier who did it. Sometime later, he comes to their home again and insists on going into a room with her. There, he removes his shirt, and the woman notices cigarette burns and marks from cartridges all over his body. It's clear he has suffered abuse in his military academy. Moved, the woman later visits her aunt and tells her about the soldier. When she returns home, she finds a bag full of fresh fruit and a golden necklace the soldier has left for her. She is genuinely delighted. For the first time in years, she feels like a woman again. At peace, she confesses everything to her husband, everything that has happened. She tells him that he was sterile and unable to father children, and that their daughters were not biologically his. For the first time, her husband seems to react. Her words make him furious. As if he's finally waking up from his coma, he suddenly attacks her, trying to strangle her in a fit of rage. In the struggle, the woman grabs a knife and kills him. At that very moment, the young soldier walks in and finds them in that position. And that's how our story ends. What did you think about the ending? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next breakdown.